A Jets-Steelers trade for Mike Tomlin? One prominent analyst says yes, he could totally see it. Would Jet fans want it? Should they explore it? There's a lot of layers. Let's go. Boy Green Daily starts now.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
I made it clear that my intention was to play, and my intention was to play for the New York Jets.
Good morning, beautiful people. I'm Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you find your podcast. And boy, we got a juicy topic out today, talking all things Jets-Steelers and a Mike Tomlin possibility. So excellent. We've got some good topics here to start off the show. And without further ado, let's get to our special guest here on the program. It's Mr. Leave No Stone Unturned, none other than Hop on Pop, Paul Esden Sr. joining us.
Hey now, good morning, Coffee Club. By the way, where's the ticker? Where's the ticker? I want to know where we're at. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's get the scrolling ticker here on the show. One moment here. Let's get that popped up, and we'll have to continue to update it as new information presents itself. Again, that's the Boy Green Raffle leaderboard for our gifted memberships and our wonderful prizes happening. I'll give you an update on that in 1 second. Quickly, let's show MFC some love. Mother_effing_chew gifted a membership before the show started. We love you, buddy. Absolutely friggin' terrific. And it looks like YouTube has fixed their problem. Thank God. R&R was just gifted a membership by MFC. So shout out. Thank you, YouTube, for correcting that problem. We couldn't read those members before. So, okay. We've got a lot to get to. First off, Boy Green Raffle Board. Shout out to Leaderboard. J-Boy, 65 gifted membership so far this month. He's number one. Number one Austrian Jet fan at number 2 at 58. Jimmy Jets, number 3 at 57. Our boy Devin, a.k.a. DNY for life at 33. And for Lillian Big D at 11. So we've got a lot of action happening there. Again, every Boy Green Coffee Club membership that gets gifted or purchased, if you're not currently a Boy Green Coffee Club member, you can do that. You can get a raffle ticket for every single one. There's no limit. You can buy as many as you'd like and increase your chances. Again, I suggest to everyone who watches the show that wants a chance to win the prize, just buy one ticket at least, and you'll have a chance in the contest. Let's throw it up here on the board. This is what you're vying for, baby. An Aaron Rodgers Nike Atmosphere jersey, heather gray color, $50 Boy Green Merch Shop gift card. Again, the merch shop is always available in the YouTube description down below, plus a custom laser engraving extravaganza that includes New York Jets gear and Boy Green gear laser engraved together. It's a wonderful prize package. And again, for $2.99, you can get a chance at that. Obviously, the more tickets you buy, the more chances you have of getting involved in that contest. All right, without further ado, Pop, let's get into this Mike Tomlin topic. And Mike Tomlin's future has been brought up sort of a couple of times over the last couple of years. It was brought up last offseason. Maybe both sides needed a fresh start, and Mike Tomlin got a brand new 3-year extension that takes him through the 2027 season. So he just got that extension. And then after the one and done that just occurred on Super Wild Card Weekend with Mike Tomlin having another playoff exit, it's his 6th straight postseason loss that Mike Tomlin has had, and 5 of those 6 have been one and done appearances. That 6th loss that I'm including was in the AFC Championship game during that season. But it's 5 straight one and dones if you want to put it in that regard, which has opened up the conversation of, wait a second, could the Steelers be looking for a fresh start? And let's give a shout out here. People are asking. There's a full article in the YouTube description down below, guys, if you want to read ahead and see what some of this conversation is about. But Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated listed the Jets last night as a potential trade destination for Steelers coach Mike Tomlin. Here's his quote, and then we'll get into it. Quote, Omar Khan should explore trading Tomlin. The Steelers need to replenish their roster, and Tomlin might be the most attractive piece of the organization. What about the New York Jets? Who better to turn around a listless franchise, which hasn't made the playoffs in 14 years, the longest streak in North American sports, end quote. That from Matt Verdame of the Mike Tomlin stuff. So first off, let me just ask you, Mike Tomlin, would you be interested if he's available?
I would start that I do believe that last year was a pivot point for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that they were really considering moving on from Mike Tomlin. And I would say that with giving him the contract extension last year for 3 years, I'm pretty sure he will not be available. However, with that being said, we'll now take that and put that to the side. Right. Pittsburgh Steelers are a unique franchise, right? How many head coaches have the Pittsburgh Steelers had? Do you know?
3 over the last 71 years or so?
Three. So, right. They're not, and the Jets were like that too, just to be clear, until this year with the solid thing. I mean, they've had a lot of head coaches, but they've had, they've had the integrity of giving opportunities for coaches and things of that nature. But so he will not be available. I just don't see it. I don't think they're going to change. They're a very proud franchise, and they made a deal with them. I don't see them. Now, it's possible with a trade if they don't like what they saw, and we'll get into that again in a second. But I would tell you, yes, it would be a buy Mike Tomlin. He brings to the table what the Jets lack, and that's leadership, a balanced sense of accountability, and frankly, for the past little less than a decade, he's gotten a lot out of a little, right? Especially the past couple years. You think about, he took a broken let's ride, Russell Wilson, and he cobbled, and then he took the fields. It was like he was like the Statue of Liberty this offseason, bring me you're broken, you're tired, right? He takes Justin Fields, he takes Russell Wilson, and then he cobbles together. And at one point they had a midseason slump. At one point, I can't remember the exact record, but they were right up there with impressive win-loss record. Not as much.
Yeah, just to help you with whatever that point is that so they obviously had the loss last night, but I'll remove that. They had a 4-game losing streak heading into the playoffs, but so obviously reverse course it, right? They finished 10-7. That means they were 10-3. Like among, again, the leaders for the division and everything else that would have been included, and obviously they fell on their face.
And up until the last game, right? They still could have won the division in week 18, I think, right?
That is correct. If they would have beaten the Bengals and the Ravens would have lost to the Browns, which would have been a tall task. But yes, if those two combination of things would have happened, and neither did. Ravens won emphatically, and the Steelers lost to the Bengals.
Right. So yes, absolutely. He could be a big game changer, culture shifter for the New York Jets. And this would be a no stone left unturned, that, he could bring that culture of winning, right? 18 years as an NFL head coach, longest tenured coach in the NFL by, I think 2 and 3 and 4 you can add together, and he's still longer than them. But
the other one who's closer, I think Harbaugh was John was hired in like 2008, so he's a little close. He might be a year off at Tomlin.
Yeah, so I would absolutely think that he would be someone strong consideration. If he was available, I would press go on that.
Yeah, last night I asked my 18,000 followers, Flex on them, a Twitter account, about if Jet fans would just be interested in a trade to acquire Mike Tomlin. And obviously the voting is still going on. It's a 24-hour poll. We got nearly 1,000 votes. 64% of the people said yes. 35% of the people said no. And boy, there was some toxic nature in the comment section of extreme people that were obviously for it. They said, have you seen the Jets' history? Of course I want Tomlin. And there was others that said, I don't want Mike Tomlin. Screw that guy. And it's an interesting back and forth. So I think there's good and bad. Let's start off with the good for Mike Tomlin. And I think people, I don't know if they're going to be stunned by some of these factual statistics, but here they are. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. You mentioned that. His cumulative record is 183, 107, and 2. That is 112 more wins than the winningest coach in Jets history. That's Weeb Ewbank, who has 71 wins. Again, Weeb Ewbank, he's won more games than any Jets head coach in history, has 71. Mike Tomlin has 112 more wins than him. which is, again, sort of crazy to think about. He's never had a losing season. And again, he's been running that operation for 18 seasons. And obviously, we all know the Jets struggles. They've had one winning season the last 14 years. They haven't made the playoffs since the season 2010, the year 2011. But the pushback from some people, Pop, is that the Steelers are stuck in purgatory. This is a team that can only get to the playoffs and not win. And people even question the highlight of Mike Tomlin's run with the Steelers, which is the Super Bowl in like year 2 or 3, where he wins the Super Bowl. And people say, well, he did that with Bill Cowher's team, who had won the Super Bowl a few years prior to that appearance and win by Mike Tomlin. So that's been some of the conversation there. And our boy Nick Faria, he'll be joining us on Wednesday. This was basically the quote he gave on social media. There's a longer diatribe back and forth on his Twitter if you guys want to go read it, but here's just a quote. If I were running the team, this is Nick Faria, Jets reporter for Raffle Sports, I'd rather take the gamble on an unproven head coach in the hopes I could be a Super Bowl contender over someone like Tomlin, where I know I'm eventually capping myself to how good we can be. Your response?
I think that's stupid. That's my response.
Okay. Wow.
I listen to this. He has averaged 10 wins a season. Listen, what are we talking about? He has averaged 10 wins a season for 18. And by the way, 10 wins is a lot more significant at 16 games. So let's, he was winning 10 win at a 10-win clip for quite a while. Everything is, odd now. All these records are all weird now that, it's been 16 games for a long time, recognizing before that was 14. And soon it's going to be 18. And then these records are really going to mean nothing. Right. But what are you talking about? Right. I would tell you that recently, they held on to, here's my opinion of the reason why the recent history of Pittsburgh, they held on to Big Ben too long, which is some franchises do that. Right. And that's kind of what,
especially for a Hall of Famer. Right.
Right. That's who Pittsburgh is. Right. I mean, you're going to let that guy go. It was amazing that the Patriots did that with Tom Brady, right? I mean, that's just odd. Years. Like normally you let him ride, and no pun intended.
Sure.
And so they went too long with Ben, and in the past 2 or 3 years, it's been like a who's not of quarterbacks, right? That Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, Chris Kringle, the abominable snowman. They've had some terrible people at quarterback. And he took he took for, a handshake and a gum wrapper. He took 2 quarterbacks, again, that nobody wanted, and he managed to take that team to the playoffs with 10 wins.
That's true. And let's get this one in here because I think this is an important note. I mentioned the overall record for Mike Tomlin. The thing I did not mention, obviously, is his playoff record, which I saw Ricky New York who asked it here. BG, what is his Mike Tomlin's postseason records? It's 8-11 actually because of this loss last night. It's 8-11.
Oh yeah, yep.
And the Jets' all-time playoff record is 12-13. So think about that. Mike Tomlin, as an individual, only has 4 less playoff wins than the entire Jets franchise has in their history. So Ricky is asking that as part of the fair points here, which is sort of interesting. So just on the purgatory thing, it's, again, I think there are pros and cons. The purgatory thing is interesting because they're always respectable, obviously. No losing season. They're never having a top 10 pick. They're always in the conversation. They have moments in the middle of the season, to your point, when they're 10-3. People are like, I saw Rich Eisen. They had a video. The Steelers can win this whole thing. And I'm like, wow, okay, here we are. Look at Steel City. And they've had other seasons. A couple years ago, they had that undefeated season, but not a lot of people were buying it. They're like 10-0, 11-0, 12-0. There was the Ben Roethlisberger year, but they seem to have a lot of luck that was kind of going together with them in that season. And so they're not good enough to win a Super Bowl. They're not good enough to make a deep playoff run, which has been the case for the last 9 years. But they're not bad enough to have the top draft pick that maybe could reverse their fortunes of trying to get a top flight quarterback or what have you. Again, Big Ben was there for obviously a large chunk of Tomlin's time before they had to go through the Duck Hodges, Mason Rudolph, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and all these other randos. But that's an interesting thing that Mike Tomlin is a good enough coach to never have you in the shitter, but you can't make a run. And in Steelers town, who have 6 Super Bowls, that's something they pride themselves on. And the fact that they're not in there, it sounds like I said, I think you're right. That there was a big opportunity last year for Tomlin to potentially be traded because of everything that was going on. And contracts are contracts; they can always be moved. I think that actually be a benefit for the Jets because, and we'll get into the recent history or history in general with head coaches being traded. Some of the big pieces of those trades are what does a contract look like? The fact that Tomlin's under contract for the next 3 seasons of 25, 26, and 27. It's good to know that part of the equation is already settled, so the contract would be assumed. It would be taken over by the Jets. So I still think there's an opportunity here. The Jets obviously are looking for a fresh start. They don't have a head coach right now. And the Steelers could be looking for a fresh start with all the monotony of the same results happening. I heard a few players in the locker room after the game saying the same shit just keeps happening. We have good runs. We play like shit, and we're not ready for the playoffs. So there were some volatile comments that maybe could spark the attention of ownership potentially. But yeah, there may be something to this purgatory thing for the Steelers that they're like stuck, and that's the worst place you could be in the NFL is in that middle ground of not being on one extreme or the other.
Right. No, I'm with you. And I would tell you that we don't have to talk about it, but I would tell you for people that think 8 and 11 is terrible, I would tell you to go look at the playoff records by people that you're like, oh, well, if you just throw some names out there, Chuck Knox is a pretty legendary, Chuck Noll, legendary head coach. Yeah. You just look, right? Mike Ditka, go look at their playoff records, so I would say that, playoffs are a weird thing. There are ones that are landslide. Obviously, Bill Belichick's won north of 30.
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid has done phenomenal. Yeah, that's right. So, but, I would just say, how would be, if next, I think part of the, and maybe we should throw a poll up what people think about Mike Tomlin, but, maybe we need to adjust our expectations. Maybe we all just need to take a breath and adjust our expectations to reality, right? We are a franchise in the past, I can't remember the number of seasons, have a points differential of minus 1,000 points. The team, is it 9 seasons?
I can't remember the span.
But it's 1,000 points, the most in the NFL, the longest playoff drought in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And some of the coaches that we're poo-pooing, some of the quarterbacks we say we wouldn't want, revisionist history. Everyone has perfect eyesight looking backwards. By the way, I'm going to go back and put a bet on the American colonists because I think they really got something there in 1770. The odds bet back then would have been phenomenal. You would have got good odds by, I don't know, it wouldn't have been Vegas, but I would tell you 2 years ago, there's probably a long list of quarterbacks that in whatever is whatever, long list of quarterbacks, the Jets would have already broken the playoff drought. And so realistic expectations on, we're people, 35% of the people in your poll, don't want one of the winningest head coaches in the history of the NFL to come play for them. He's still a young man, right?
Yeah, he's average 40s, I think. Yeah.
I think he's 50. But anyways, it's just odd, and some of these quarterbacks, I would tell you this. 52, right? He's got, a
long runway, I'd imagine.
He's got a decade or 2 decades ahead of him. I would tell you this.
Sure.
And I have never said this before.
Okay.
I've never said this before.
Oh.
And frankly, I shocked myself this morning when I was thinking about it.
All right.
Mike Tomlin is the only head coach that I could be aligned with bringing Aaron Rodgers back. The only one.
Oh, wow. Didn't have that on my bingo card. Wow.
It's only one. His leadership, his leadership, right? If he had been the head coach of the Jets in the past 2 years, and Aaron had been healthy, right? Although even without Aaron being healthy, I think he gets significantly more wins last year. Because last year, you go back and look at the record. There were some stinkers and clinkers, but the Jets were still not. They were still within earshot of making a difference. And leadership last year decisive, a forceful leader last year would have squeaked out 2 or 3 more wins, and the Jets would have been in the playoff last year.
You're 100% right. Coaching was a major difference this year, and even last year. You think about all the mistakes and issues that happened. There's a compelling case. Also, just a quick nugget on the 8-11 Mike Tomlin. That's gross. And think about this: 8-11 isn't bad. And then you think he's lost 6 straight playoff games. So, it's been sort of warped by recency. We're forgetting it. He was at one point 8-5. Oh, okay, 8-5. That's pretty good. More playoff wins than playoff losses. A Super Bowl, of course, victory that he has in the back pocket there. He also has a Super Bowl loss, right? He was there for the Aaron Rodgers, making it full circle. The Aaron Rodgers championship that he beat Pittsburgh in, where Pittsburgh blew their opportunity. So that part has to be equated. And here's the other big piece of the puzzle that everyone's asking. Now, here's where I say this is BS. I saw this last night, and there's no chance of this. A lot of people said, the Steelers could just fire Mike Tomlin. I see zero. I saw some of that on social media last night. To me, there is a negative % chance of that.
That's not going to happen.
There's no way. But a trade, I could sort of see.
1,000%. Right. Yeah. He has value. Why would you cut him? That's just dumb. And by the way, you probably have to pay him. As fun as that is.
You would, it's fully guaranteed, yeah.
Right, it's fully guaranteed. As fun as that is. All you have to do to see if Mike Tomlin's still a good, everyone's talking, praise everyone for having their own opinion. God bless him. But bless their heart. But look at this. He made it to the playoffs last year. That's some cobbling of wins together. You see, he put some duct tape, some silly putty, some ass grease, and he made it. The Pittsburgh Steelers made it to the playoffs. And you look at, just go and, you'd only take you a few minutes to go see their win-loss progression throughout the season, who he had starting. And that is some magic last year that he made it to the playoffs. Forget the fact that he took 2 quarterbacks that nobody wanted, literally giving away. The Denver Broncos paid for Russell Wilson to take the Steelers to the playoffs, right? And so if it wasn't for a few other amazing head coaching jobs this year, I'm not saying he'd be in the top 1 or 2, but it's at least in the conversation of what he did to bring the Pittsburgh Steelers where they are now.
Yeah, I would just add this, because I've seen a lot of the comments and people are raging on YouTube and every other social media, because StreamYard connects everybody together. So I see a lot of people that have some extreme opinions on Mike Tomlin for both ways. The thing I would say, because one of the comments I saw says Mike Tomlin is, he reached his peak already and it has come and gone. People say a spark can happen all the time. Something new, a fresh thing. And maybe that's what Mike Tomlin needs, is that I still think he's got it. Obviously, look at the coaching that he's been able to do. But put him in a new place where it's fresh, it's different. It's sort of what Aaron Rodgers explained in a variety of his press conference opportunities. With the Green Bay Packers, it was, I pick things up, I put them down. I do this every day. I go to the facility, do this. And then there's this level of monotony that exists. And then you could break it up by going to a new place and all of a sudden your messages that may have grown stale in another place, they're fresh, they're brand new. The Jets have never heard any of these messages before. And I think he's a wonderful coach. So I think a spark can be created potentially from that, a spark for the Jets, who obviously need a spark right now, but also Tomlin himself, who maybe needs something fresh to go through. And yes, a click and a view. I have no idea what ass grease is either, but I wasn't going to ask, but thank you for bringing that up. And here's the big thing here, Pop, because a lot of people are like, okay, pal, because, again, people are for both sides. They want a Tomlin trade or do not. But the pressing question is, what is compensation? Now, if we're going to look at recent history, we just had the Sean Payton. We were talking off air before the show. Sean Payton was the one who was most recently traded, and he was traded from the New Orleans Saints, of course, to the Denver Broncos. Verdemay, by the way, who offered the Jets as a landing spot for Mike Tomlin, believes the Steelers could, quote unquote, get a haul if they traded Tomlin, and then he mentioned the Jets. So in 2023, the Saints traded Sean Payton and a third rounder to the Broncos in exchange for a first and a second. So there's a little bit of some pick swapping happening there. Long story short, the Saints got a first and a second. The Broncos got Sean Payton and a third rounder. There's other recent trades, not recent, but like John Gruden had the biggest compensation of any coach trade in NFL history when he went from the then Oakland Raiders to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was sent to the Bucs in exchange for a 2002 first rounder, a 2002 second rounder, a 2003 first rounder, a 2004 second rounder, and $8 million in cash was involved in those trades. And then two more highlight, Dad, and I'll get your thoughts on this. The Jets are involved in the other two big ones. The Jets traded the rights of Bill Belichick to the New England Patriots. New England received Bill Belichick, a 2001 fifth rounder, a 2001 seventh rounder, and they just got back a 2000 first round draft choice, a 2000 fourth rounder, and a 2000 seventh rounder. And the one that people forget about the most here, Pop, is the trade that happened a few years before that one, which was between the Jets and Patriots for Bill Parcells. Now, it sort of wasn't a trade, but then Tagliabue had to like kind of broker the deal at that point because of all the awkwardness of the Jets tried to, if people remember back in the late 90s, the Jets tried to bring him in as not the head coach, but that he would become the head coach later to get around as a loophole to get him in to screw the Patriots. And then Paul Tagliabue stepped in. And ultimately, the Jets had to send over a 1999 first rounder, a 1998 second rounder, a 1997 third rounder, a 1997 fourth rounder, and $300,000 as a charitable donation to the New England Patriots. So long story short, Pop, when coaches are traded, it's serious compensation that's involved, whether we're talking about NFL yesteryear or as recently as we just saw in 2023.
Yeah, by the way, I'll take a $300,000 charitable donation to the
Very
Boy Green Height Improvement Fund. But
there you go.
Yeah, so what would I give up for Tomlin? I'd give up
basically that's a question.
Yeah, I would give up a 2025 first round and a 2026 third round.
She'd give up the 7th overall pick in this year's draft.
Yes.
Oof, boy.
If you and I'll explain.
Sure.
My mental. If it wasn't that long ago. Time flies, but then it doesn't. Right. So it was 6 months ago. Was July, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
July.
Sure.
6 months ago, pundit after pundit, analyst after analyst, and not just Jets people. This is the most talented roster the Jets have ever had. By the way, we have some moves to do with some cap room. There's no reason that shouldn't be true 6 months from now, having the most talented roster that the Jets have ever had.
Okay. Yep.
With that being said, giving up the first round draft pick, that's not what the Jets don't need more talent. Now, obviously, you always need more talent. Let me be more clear.
Mm-hmm.
But in the scale of things, do you need a forceful leader more than you need more talent? The Jets do not have a shortage of talent, right? At any position. Again, there's some things that have to be done, assuming that this core team stays together. Fast forward 6 months. So let's just go with that assumption. No significant additions, no significant detractions. I know that's big, but I also know we do have a pile of money to burn, right, Gerard? Anyways, so let's assume that we can keep that in balance, like one of the most talented roster we've ever had. Then what's the difference? The difference is the leadership. The difference is the coaching. And I wouldn't want, I'm also not a fool enough to say I want to give it all up in 2025. That's why I did the staggered year. And I think we could, we wouldn't, that's not the first offer. This is the end offer, right? And in between, because I'm sure someone would come back with 2 firsts or first and a second. I think the balance of giving up 1 pick this year, 1 pick next year, and a first and third is pretty respectable. And then Pittsburgh, because I think if Pittsburgh could, they might let him go. That's not who they are, and they just signed him to a contract. So this is getting something. It's a win-win for Pittsburgh, and it's a win for the Jets. Taking this core roster with a proven leader, I think, would take the Jets to playoffs. Without a doubt, I would say they'd be in the running to challenge the Bills for AFC East and definitely make a wild card.
Yeah, the Jets would have to probably make a slight adjustment to your trade offer because the Jets already gave up their 2026 third rounder. That's going to the Eagles for Hassan Reddick. So I guess they'll have to get a little bit creative.
Ouchie.
Unfortunately. You would think that
it doesn't hurt here or here, but Richard. Well, oh my God, what happened to your face, Richard?
I knew it. Yeah. You would often think, yeah, I'm just gonna say a third round pick in 2026. It's probably safe. Never for the Jets, it's not. But no, so I guess would have to work out that part of it. But I do love this staggered nature. Again, think about a lot of these trades in history that I just mentioned, and I know the numbers can kind of drone when I just say a lot of them. 1999 this, 2000 this, 2001 this. A lot of those were staggered too. So I think that makes a lot of sense. A seventh overall pick is incredibly rich. And I'm not saying you're wrong. We'll look at history. History says that's about the price, what it's going to cost and change. And Mike Tomlin's a really good coach, but interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of people back and forth, and you would think Mike Tomlin, with as good as a coach as I think that he is, despite what some people are saying on here, I'd be compelled to try to conversate and figure it out. I mean, the Jets would be silly not to try. I mean, because we've heard the Kevin O'Connell trade rumors. We've heard the Mike Tomlin trade rumors. Those came up. Jay Glazer mentioned Kevin O'Connell, and there's been some whispers about Tomlin potentially being moved if they had another one-and-done season, which is exactly what they had. Again, a fresh start would make a lot of sense, and Mike Tomlin would be immediately the winningest coach in New York Jets franchise history. And he's only 52. That's the other part that excites me. It excites me that he's under contract. Kevin O'Connell, on the other hand, if you traded for him, who knows if that's even realistic? He only has 1 year left in his deal. You have to trade for him and give him record-breaking money. Now, fans probably won't care because that's not their money. And there's no salary cap for coaches. You could pay him $1 billion if you want to. But that's the part that intrigues me about Tomlin is that this investment, which would be rich with the 7th overall pick, but he got a guy who's in his early 50s, so he's got a long runway here. He'd be rejuvenated, I would imagine, with this trade too, and he's just had a lot of success. Boy, that would be a pretty ripe combination potentially
Right.
for it as well.
I mean, if you knew that whatever you did with the number 7 pick would essentially ensure you're going to make the playoffs, you would take that player or take what would get you there, right?
Probably.
And I would tell you that
it's maybe short-sighted, but I probably would. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, because even first
Like
rounders,
a first-round pick you get for 5 years. You know, you get the 4-year standard contract plus a 5th-year option. So you hope that piece is
Zach Wilson.
Well, you get Louisville slugger,
Vernon
Calvin
Golston.
Pryor, D. Milner, Vernon Golston, all of them. Yeah,
but anyways,
which by the way, I would imagine is a strong case. People say, well, that's our first-round pick, and then you list, hey, here are all these shitty first-round picks, huh? Would you have liked to save the money of not having to pay that first-round pick, that shitty contract, give it to him? Now, that's probably, using the shitty hindsight, probably isn't the best way to do it, but that's a compelling case to say it the other way, so.
Yeah, if the Jets are able to get him, 100% I would go for it. And I would tell you to the people, why would we try to take somebody that someone was trying to move on from? I would tell you that if you ever been in a job, if you ever been in a leadership position, after a while, there's value, right? You can perform at a very high level. Then after a while, the organization needs a change, right? Thomas Jefferson, the tree of liberty has to be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots. So every once in a while, you gotta switch it around. By the way, yes, take that to the bank. That's a good quote. But with a fresh start, it's incredible things. You look at, you pick the coaches, you pick the Bill Parcells, you pick these coaches, and they take the Andy Reid, right? He ran his course in Philadelphia. It was time to switch
that's exactly
things
the example I was going to bring up. Go ahead.
And then now you bring it, and right after a while, after 2 decades, it may be time to shake it up, both for Mike Tomlin and for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not saying that he's not a high value target, right? There was, let me do the math there. There was 18 teams that might have liked to go to the playoffs this year that are, starting on their couch, their first round all pro couch sitter, right? So, I don't know.
I mean, to your Andy Reid point, I mean, that is literally what I believe or remember. Again, you can make history, whatever, in terms of your hindsight, but I believe the Eagles, who had gone to 5 NFC championship games and the one Super Bowl that they lost to New England Patriots, T.O. coming back and all that jazz, the Eagles must have said, we've reached our ceiling with this guy. And it was a wonderful run of all these conference championships and everything else that happened. But there's no point of further progression here, so they believe. So they let him go. They fired him. He didn't even get traded, which is crazy. And he goes to Chiefs land, and obviously now he's got the
How'd that
most
work out?
active playoff wins of any team. He's got a bunch of Super Bowl rings, which he had not had in his Eagles tenure. So I'm sure Andy Reid is very happy because he looked like forever he was going to be on the list of really good coach who never won a ring, because that was the path that he was on. And now, of course, with Mahomes and everything is flipped, and now he's going to moonwalk into the Hall of Fame whenever he decides to hang it up
Absolutely.
and stop eating the cheeseburgers, I guess. So salute to him.
The Nuggies.
Yeah, the Nuggies. Those commercials are funny as hell. The Bundle Rooski, the
Bundelrooski.
and Save.
You gonna say that? No, I'm not
Bundelrooski,
saying that. I'm not
like,
saying
it's
that.
just,
yeah.
That's again, we never saw, or I don't remember it unless there were local Philadelphia commercials. I don't remember ever seeing any of this side of Andy Reid. So it's been super funny and interesting. So, Pop, real quick, is there anything else you wanted to get to before we got to the phone lines? Because I have one last nugget I will share that came up from Rich Cimini this morning. But before that, is there anything else you wanted to?
Yeah, no, I would just say this is another example of leave no stone unturned. You have the viable candidates, and this goes for the GM, the head coach, and the quarterback. Mm-hmm. Truly leave, and I think there's discussions on further shows about quarterbacks. I think it's odd that people aren't looking that way, that we should be like a little side eye there, but leave no stone unturned, and going after Mike Tomlin is exactly the epitome of that.
Okay. The only thing I wanted to say is this. So obviously the Jets are doing a deep dive of their own on all head coaching candidates are available and interviews. They have not started second interviews yet. So they're still in the initial phase, or whatever you want to call it, of getting all those guys and GM searches. And there is a loophole that Rich Cimini found in this process. So the Jets can't interview any playoff-bound coaches or coaches that are still alive. Let me just put it that way, like the Lions or the Texans or any team, again, that is still alive. They can't do any in-person interviews with them until after the divisional round as it currently stands. Basically the hiring process for coaching has been stalled, even though the Jets have met the Rooney Rule qualifications for both head coach and general manager. But Rich Cimini said there is a loophole, basically, and I will just read it verbatim so I don't mess it up. I tweeted it out this morning here. Here it is from Rich Cimini. A GM from a team in the playoffs can accept the job, the Jets job, before their season is over if the current team provides written permission. The Jets still have a few candidates on their interview list, but it's conceivable that they could make a hire in the coming days. The timing would allow the new GM to participate in the selection of the coach. The coaching search will take longer because of the way the rules are structured, which is sort of what I just explained. So interesting there. There is a way for the Jets, because of all this, if they're vying for one of those playoff team things, instead of waiting forever, now that they're Rooney Rule compliant, and if they love a guy at GM, Mike Borgonzi or one of the Lions people, whether it's Dorsey or Agnew, I don't think they've talked to those two individuals, but just as a random example, they can move quickly to go get that guy. So there's a little bit of a loophole I saw in Rich Cimini's column this morning, which is sort of interesting and maybe could set things up for the next phase here of action.
Yeah, and it's just there's a leave no stone unturned, ... It's time to move. Let's go. Get the GM in place, get the head coach in place, and let's go.
Yeah, they're battling for it. Tennessee's looking for a GM. The Raiders are looking for a GM. There's 6 head coach openings right now, although the other nugget I'll share also before we go to the phone lines, Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots are talking contract details. So that one looks like, the hay's about to be in the barn there, as Jerry Jones once said. I think we're about to get the hay in the barn. By the way, look at this, baby. Before we go to the phone lines, our number one Austrian Jet fan with a 10-pack of Boy Green Coffee Club memberships. Pop, do you have those 10 in front of you?
I do. Joshua Ra, Brian Farrell, Jet Life 321, Wild Wave, Hector Cabrera, Extinguish the Guilt, Gary Pape, Cactus Johnny, James Kennedy, no relation, Bill Will are the new members of the Boy Green Coffee Club.
There you go. And number one Austrian Jet fan has just taken the lead in our contest for that wonderful grand prize, which I'll show you guys in just a second. So shout out to our number one Austrian Jet fan. He's been lurking, and he has just surpassed our guy, J-Boy here. He's got 65 gifted memberships so far this month. So I'll update you guys on the leaderboard here in just a second with seeing it on the scrolling ticker. And there it is. Again, number one Austrian Jet fan, 68 gifted memberships. J-Boy, 65. Jimmy Jets, 57. DNY for Life, 33. And for Lillian Big D with 11. That is the latest. Number one Austrian Jet fan has surged into the lead, baby. You love to see it there, Pop. You love to see it.
It is amazing, and the prize package is impressive. And you got to be careful saying the package is impressive, putting those words together.
Although I'm sure I've heard that a lot in my life. Let's show them. And here we go. Let's unveil this one. Let's unzip this one. Boy Green Raffle Giveaway Spectacular. Again, the Aaron Rodgers Nike Atmosphere jersey. Had their gray color up for grabs. $50 Boy Green merch shop gift card. Plus a custom laser engraving package. You're going to love it. It's super cool. License plate, pens, coins, commemorative coin, and so much more, baby. But without further ado,
I would
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just it's kind of weird that you're talking about when you used to listen to our bedroom wall there, but go ahead.
I don't think I said that.
It's your
but
mom.
Here we go.
Yep.
Let's go to the phone lines.
Boy Green daily, Boy Green daily, Boy Green daily. Talking just football, man. Boy Green daily, Boy Green daily, Boy Green daily. The New York Jets Football Club. Wow. Offense, defense, special teams. Watch the Super Bowl season with Boy Green. J-E-T-S. Jets. Boy Green.
We got 600 people in the room right now. Like the video, hit subscribe. Again, we're reacting to the Jets-Steelers Mike Tomlin trade rumors. They've been bubbling since last night when the Steelers were one and done, and this is not the first time that Mike Tomlin's future has been in question. Again, I saw the cut rumors, but I think that's trash. There's no way he gets cut. But a trade,
Zero chance.
I could kind of see maybe. Again, I don't think it's a guarantee. Hey, he's on the move. Highest bidders get your action in here. I don't think that's necessarily it, but I would just say in general, though, that it could be a possibility, and we've been debating whether or not, and so have the fans, whether or not that would be something that they'd be open to. So let's hop over to the phone lines. This is a guy that's now becoming a regular on the program. June, the GM, baby, joins us here on the show. What's up, June?
Hey, what's going on, my friends? Listen, I got to go to work in a little while, and the comments are driving me crazy. Let me say this. Very rare in life in the NFL do you see an elite quarterback with elite talent around him. Mm-hmm. To my memory, the 49ers with Montana, Jerry Rice and company. The Dallas Cowboys with Troy Aikman, who threw 63 miles per hour to Michael Irving with Emmitt Smith. Tell me when Mike Tomlin has had an elite quarterback and talent around him, not since Roethlisberger with Brown out there. He
Correct.
has a below-average quarterback. Aging Russell Wilson is but a shadow of what he used to be. Where's the talent? George Pickens, who can't get out of his own head? Are you kidding me? Mike Tomlin is arguably one of the top 3 coaches in the NFL. I would say the guy from the Rams, which his head is
Sean McVay.
Incredible. McVay. I would say Andy Reid, obviously, and Mike Tomlin. That's my top 3. I'll put Shanahan in there as well, with Tomlin.
Of course.
But we have to judge coaching by talent. And the Pittsburgh Steelers history has been a cheap organization that don't like to pay players. They let Greg Lloyd walk, Kevin Green walk. They always let their top talent walk away. So my defense to Mike Tomlin is this. If you're telling me that we can give up the number 7 draft pick this year and get Mike Tomlin, I'll sign up for that every single time because Mike Tomlin is a proven commodity. He's by far an elite head coach. Picture Mike Tomlin with a good quarterback that he can get early with Garrett Wilson. Imagine if Tomlin had Aaron Rodgers this year. I mean, come on, Jet fans. I love you guys, but you're talking crazy. Mike Tomlin is not Robert Saleh. Mike Tomlin is elite. Point blank.
I love it, June. And yeah, I would just say in general, and this is a point my father made too, is that Mike Tomlin seems to get the most out of whatever his roster is. To your point, he hasn't had a ton of talent recently, again, or even the talented guys like George Pickens has a few tacos short of a combo meal over there. So you can't always get full George Pickens. He's always doing dumbass stuff all the time. And then last night, had his presser, that clip's going viral. They're like, has the offense made growth since you've been here in the league, right? He's been there 2 or 3 years. He's like, yeah, I've seen growth. And they're like, oh, you're optimistic about next year? He said, nah, nope.
Exactly. I mean,
That's going viral. Unbelievable.
It's almost like people like to make comments without really diving into how the league works, right? If you really look at the NFL right now, the best teams either have elite talent or an elite quarterback. Very rare they have both. Kansas City, Mahomes is an elite quarterback, decent talent around him. The Lions, very good quarterback, but elite talent around Jared Goff, right?
For sure.
Look at Matthew Stafford. When you get him a half-decent team, he's in the playoffs every year with a good coach. I just think that Mike Tomlin is getting a raw deal. I'm not going to call him, Mike Tomlin is not my man Walsh down there in San Fran or Jimmy Johnson, but if you give Mike Tomlin our team this year that just passed, we're contending for a Super Bowl, I believe. That's my opinion.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin's a good coach. I
agree.
love it. Thanks for the call, June.
Appreciate
you. There he is. And I didn't get to this comment that June said yesterday, so I wanted to make sure I got to it. He said that he loves that we get to do this, Pop, the hop on pop thing. And I just want to tell everybody I never take that for granted. It's so cool. There's a lot of people that are like, I've said before, construction workers or like secretary at an office. They don't get an opportunity to work with their father in any lighter respect. So it's cool that, again, like I said, it's blessed. It's cool that we get to do this, even though, we yell at each other at times and you tell me I'm smarter than you. And I'm like, okay, you're right.
Moron!
Conversation.
And I would just say that I actually got an opportunity to work with my father for a couple of years at the same chemical plant before I went into the Navy. And I remember those times fondly. And I enjoy doing this and calling you out occasionally as a moron.
Okay, let's get to one more caller before we get you out of here, Pop. You got to go to church for blessed be he, again, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Ricky New York is here on the program. What's up, Ricky? What's going on, buddy?
Morning, guys. How you doing?
Man, not too bad.
Well, first of all, somebody mentioned it in the chat. So while you guys were talking, I decided to Google it just to see. And Mike Tomlin does have a no trade clause. So
yeah,
he's not going anywhere, whether we like him or not.
I would also say this. I think almost, and not to insult that part of it, I feel like almost every coach is in a no trade clause because there's just all kinds of stuff that go into it. He can refuse to report. Right. It's sort of like Gronk a bunch of years ago. He was traded to the Detroit Lions, and he said, I'm going to retire. Fuck you. Excuse my Guatemala here. F you, I'm not showing up. And then so the trade got null and void. So they went, I guess we can't do the trade. So he does literally, you're right, he does literally have a no trade clause. So you would need his approval for that to happen. And I wouldn't want a kicking and screaming Mike Tomlin anyway, even if he didn't have a no trade clause. If he didn't want to be here, that'd be a Brett Favre situation. I wouldn't want that either. Right. But no, that is important to know.
Right on. And me personally, I don't want to give up number 7 overall. I would rather keep it. He does have an impressive record. I won't take anything away from him, but there are other proven commodities and other intriguing options that might not be as proven, but I would rather keep number 7 overall. I like Will Johnson a whole lot, but say we stay at 7, we end up with, say, a Mason Graham. Last year, the Rams drafted a very similar player to Mason Graham in Braden Fisk, who leads all rookies with 8.5 sacks, 71 pressures, the most ever by a Rams rookie in franchise history. And considering the fact that Aaron Donald was just there, that's pretty impressive. but yeah, I don't think you can ever have enough talent. I'll keep my draft pick. Figure out my own coach. Now, hopefully Woody gets this right. That's all I can
Of course.
say.
Yeah.
We can all debate about who it is. At the end of the day, it's just got to be the right guy.
That's right.
Regardless of how they're acquired. I couldn't agree more. And again, I value the 7th overall pick a lot, just like you, Ricky. So again, I get the potential reward of having Tomlin, who is a really good coach, but 7th overall seems rich. So hopefully there'll be another way to work it out, to do something differently. But I would imagine if he were to be available, a lot of people would be interested. Pop, I know you got to go to church, so I appreciate you. We'll keep Ricky on. I'll continue to answer your questions, Ricky, and we could talk. But Pop, thank you.
Have a good day.
Yeah, have a great day. Yeah, go ahead, Ricky.
Yeah, at any rate, me personally, I would keep the pick, and the thing is whoever the coach is, like, fill in the blank, must get results. Whatever the name is, must get results. That's all there is to it. I have been hearing that Aaron Glenn had a very strong interview, which makes me very happy.
Yeah, I heard from them from Tom Pelissero and Rich Eisen show, and that made me feel really good.
Yeah. If it comes out in the next couple of days that he's the front runner, I'll be ecstatic.
Awesome.
He might not have the head coaching experience that some people are talking about, whatever, but he's been in the league so long in so many different roles. I think he knows exactly what's expected of him. And, even Caparoso and Connor Rogers were saying, like, he may actually be one of those guys that actually does better as a head coach. And they were speculating, but still,
sure. Yeah. Right.
I can see it. I can see it. He's just a very natural leader and a very commanding personality. And man, we really need that. We need that in the worst kind of way.
That would be an exciting hire. If the Jets hired Glenn tomorrow, I would be over the moon. That would be that'd be an incredibly exciting hire. Again, I'd love to know who the rest of his staff is coming over, and he'd have to figure that out very quickly. And sometimes in the introductory press conference, we get a couple of nuggets like, "Ooh, I'm bringing this guy over for OC. Ooh, I'm bringing this important hire over here from this." So sometimes some of that is already figured out, but 100% that would be incredibly exciting.
And as of right now, the two organizations were fighting each other for the number 1 seed, a week ago, but he does know McCown from his time with the Jets, when he was in the scouting department. And so there is a connection there. So who knows, maybe he brings McCown over as an OC.
Hey, that'd be fun.
Hurt my feelings either.
No, not at all. That'd be great. The GM I'm currently rooting for is Mike Borgonzi, just because it doesn't seem like the Lions people that people wanted, like Ray Agnew or John Dorsey, they haven't interviewed yet. That doesn't mean they won't, but I mean, we're getting up on it. They need to start talking to these people sooner rather than later if they're going to be a real part of the operation here.
Yeah, I agree. I like Borgonzi too, and I don't know that there's any kind of connection between him and Glenn at all. There may be. I just nothing sticks out right off the top of my head.
The only thing, and it's sort of indirect, is Borgonzi worked with John Dorsey. John Dorsey's in Detroit, so they would know each other through that connection. But like I said, I don't know if they've all had beers at the bar or anything. But there's that sort of indirect tie that sort of happened there with their relationship, and then the relationship that exists now.
Right on. Well, hopefully we start getting some good news soon.
That's it. Love it. Ricky, thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate you. And we'll see what happens. We will see what happens here. And like I said, the loophole from Rich Zamini is that technically the Jets could hire a general manager who's currently in the playoffs right now, as long as they get written permission. It's like you're going to school. You're going to a field trip. You need mama or dada's permission to make it happen. And I think that would allow them to basically serve in both roles, so they continue to potentially get a Super Bowl championship with the other team, but they have it in writing, like, okay, we have all this figured out and it's able to be done. So the Jets could have that GM hire this week. We could have it, which is sort of what Rich Cimini potentially indicated here. Our number one Austrian Jet fan with a super chat. Every time I get a super chat, we hear from my daughter, Zariah Luna.
Wow.
Our number one Austrian Jet fans gave a $2 super chat or a €2 super chat here to say, shout out Pop Mania for real. And that, along with your prior super chat to number one Austrian Jet fan, gave you another raffle ticket in the contest. You're up to 69 raffle tickets, baby. Again, just like number one Austrian Jet fan here did, what he did here, guys and gals, is that you can also send in super chats, so we keep track of that, and you'll get another raffle ticket for our contest. Again, we're trying to do raffle giveaways every month to give back to the fans, because you guys have made this so special for me, which I really enjoy and appreciate. So shout out to our number one Austrian Jet fan, baby. Pop Mania has been awesome. Like I said, not everyone gets an opportunity to work with their fathers in any respect with their job. It's cool to hear that my dad got to work my grandpa, God rest his soul. But it's also cool for me to be able to do it as well, which is a really awesome feeling. It's a really awesome feeling. And I know my father's grown on some of you guys. Hey, now look at that, number one Austrian Jet fan with another gifted membership, baby. Here we go. Austrian Jet fan, just like my fiance, may not like odd numbers, so he wanted an even number, and he has an even 70 spot, baby. He's got 70 gifted memberships so far this raffle cycle. So shout out to our number one Austrian Jet fan, baby. Let's give a quick read on who our latest member is to the Boy Green Coffee Club, baby. And YouTube has fixed their problem, thank goodness, so I can read out. So I could read out who actually is receiving these memberships. YouTube had a problem a couple of days within the last couple of days, but it looks like they were able to fix all that. So blessed be he from that perspective. Blessed be he. Phone lines are open. That's youtube.com/boygreen25. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, you have to jump on over to YouTube to be able to call into the show and share your thoughts, baby. Okay, here is the new member via number one Austrian Jet fan to the Boy Green Coffee Club. That is Jerry Moore. Jerry Moore, welcome to the Boy Green Coffee Club. Also, everybody, if you are a member of the Boy Green Coffee Club and you're not in our Discord, go to our YouTube community channel. I posted it yesterday. All you have to do is click that Discord link, and you'll get an invite to our special Boy Green Coffee Club Discord app, which you could get on the computer or your phone, which is pretty cool. So make sure you guys check that out. Speaking of Boy Green Coffee Club memberships, our boy FL Film 98, baby. Okay. Shout out to Coochie. Coochie was just gifted a membership from our boy FL Phil 98, baby, which we appreciate. So shout out to Coochie, baby. Thank you so much. And FL Phil 98 for hooking somebody up with a membership that is pretty gosh darn cool. And here we go. That's FL Phil 98's first gifted membership of this cycle. We appreciate it. There you go. You're on the leaderboard. That's one raffle ticket to our contest. I recommend everybody get those raffle tickets in so you have an opportunity to win, baby. Appreciate that. By the way, everyone's talking about Saleh. Holy freaking crap. Saleh's getting interviews, man. Got a head coach interview in Jacksonville, head coach interview with the Raiders, and he obviously interviewed for the 49ers DC job, and he's going to have that opportunity if he wants it. Like, damn, man. According to NFL insider Josina Anderson, he can have that job will be offered to him to Robert Saleh, so he can have it if he wants to. But obviously, he's going to see see if he could get a head coaching gig. Obviously, whether that's with Jacksonville or whether that's in Vegas. If he's able to get either of those, obviously he won't take the DC job, but he's got the DC job in his back pocket, and why wouldn't he? Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. NY Jets FL says Spags making $5 million per year to DC, as he should be. He's the most decorated defensive coordinator in NFL history. He should absolutely be getting the bag. We'll see. He's getting some interviews this cycle too. And here's a funny thing from Rich Cimini in his column this morning. Some of the top candidates for the Jets job in 2009 was Steve Spagnuolo and Rex Ryan. Some of the top candidates in the 2025 cycle are Steve Spagnuolo and Rex Ryan 16 years later. You can't make this up, people. You can't make this up. That is unbelievable. And yet here we are. That is funny. That is funny. Unbelievable. Also, a couple of nuggets here. So it looks like Mike Vrabel is going to the New England Patriots. That's not breaking news. That's not crazy. But Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots have been hammering out contract details. So it looks like that one is over, unfortunately. You wouldn't be talking contract details if there's no mutual interest on each side. So I would imagine that gets announced at some point this week. So Vrabel's off the board. Vrabel was an exciting thought. We had Zach Rosenblatt on the show, and it seemed interesting, but it seemed like the moment the New England Patriots fired Gerard Mayo, we all knew where this is going. Again, sometimes in life, if you want something to happen and then something else happens and they don't pick you, you want to be spiteful and go, screw you. You sucked anyway. I won't say that about Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel's a really good coach, and New England's getting a good one. Now, they've got a shitty roster. They got Drake May. They got $130 million in cap space, and they have a top 4 pick of the draft, and now potentially Mike Vrabel. So they got a lot going for him, for sure, but that roster sucks. So Mike Vrabel's going to need a lot of elbow grease to see if they can flip that. So that looks like that's going to happen. There's been some Ben Johnson to the Raiders hubbub from Peter Schrager. He said that one's been picking up a lot of steam. So Ben Johnson could head over to Las Vegas. So those are the top 2 perceived candidates. And then I would imagine the betting favorite, as Zach Rosenblatt told me earlier this week, is the odds-on favorite, would be Aaron Glenn for the Jets job. Rich Cimini's prediction is that it will be Aaron Glenn or Brian Flores. So there's a lot of hoopla going on here. We're going to continue to help you guys throughout this entire process and give you guys the latest details. Starting on the show tomorrow, folks, and this will be every Monday moving forward outside of when he can't, Dom C and mock draft Mondays will continue. We'll do Jets mock draft exercises. We'll talk about the latest Jets draft prospects. We'll talk about rankings and everything else in between. So make sure you guys start tuning in every Monday on Boy Green Daily for our special guest, Dom C. He'll be heading down to the Reese's Senior Bowl, and we'll be having special bonus Senior Bowl episodes with Dom C. So I hope you guys can stay tuned for that. We'll also have on Thursday's show, here's a plug. On Thursday's Boy Green Meets Woody show, we're going to have a brand new intro that I hope you guys enjoy, and we're going to have a former Defensive Rookie of the Year on the show, a man who's led the league in sacks before in his career and has a great nickname and one of the best sack dances of all time. He'll be joining us on Thursday's episode of Boy Green Meets Woody. So there's a tease if there ever was one, baby. So I hope you guys can guess and think about who that could be. And we'll see you on Thursday for that very special episode. Well, everybody, enjoy the playoff games today. We got a triple header of NFL football, which is going to be awesome. Let's hope the Broncos can upset the Bills. I'm just kidding. Although, no, that would be sort of enjoyable. But we'll see. I'm just hoping we get some good games. That's all we can hope for. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks to the 700 people in the room. Again, like the video, hit subscribe, baby, and we'll keep the good times rolling. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you next time. Take care.